Hello again and welcome to another episode of Mordian Mondays. This is episode 26. For those of you that are new to this series, Mordian Mondays are all about my progress on the Great Mordian Restoration Project, which is my attempt to completely strip down, repaint, fix and restore the Mordian 50th Rifles, which is my pure infantry guard army. Around 400 models in the army. Many of them are extremely badly painted because historically I wasn't a very good painter and I used to do a lot of painting in a rush before going to a tournament. As a result, there was no such thing as base coating on a lot of the models. Too thin coats, no way. It was always many thick coats to typically go over the old paint job on a second-hand model. And as a result, the quality of the army was extremely poor, which meant that I didn't like using it in my YouTube videos and my battle reports, which is a shame because the channel is called Mordian Glory, and for me to not want to use Mordians is kind of bad. So, what these videos tend to entail is quite a lot of hobby progress, but also talking about tactics that I have been thinking about during the week and tactics that relate to the units that I paint week by week. I attempt to try and paint one unit a week. So we have some tactics, we have some fluff, and we have some some hobby, and we also go over some of the fluff for the regiment because I like to sort of world build and develop a bit of headcanon around the regiment. So, what have I been working on this week? Well, this week I thought I'd mix it up, and I have painted up my first 5 men of the Assault Corps. So, the reason I mix things up a little bit, because the last few weeks I've just been churning out Melter Squad after Melter Squad after Melter Squad. Those are a regular guard infantry squad with a melter gun and normally like a power sword or something similar. I wanted to mix it up because I didn't want these videos to become very samey, and also I didn't want to get burnt out. So I still actually have one squad left to complete for the 2nd Battalion, or platoon. But I decided to mix it up a little bit and to make a start on the Assault Corps. So the Assault Corps in my army is where I am going to be taking a full battalion of Stormtroopers. Okay, so that's 6 10-man squads. Now, at the moment, I'm trying to decide between whether I want to take these as Death Corps of Krieg Grenadiers or as Militarm Tempestus Scions. But we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll get into that in the tactics section after we've discussed the hobby stuff. So, yeah, these models, for anyone that's wondering, are classic Stormtrooper sculpts. These are well out of production, probably been out of production for 15 years at this point, maybe even longer, but well over a decade they've been out of production. They are single part models, not multi-part, not the monopose, and they are probably my favourite models in the whole Imperial Guard range. These are classic Stormtroopers. I like to sort of call them like VAC troopers, Cap Troopers if you're a Starship Troopers fan. These guys are really cool. They are almost the original Stormtroopers. They're definitely the original sci-fi 40k Stormtroopers, because there was actually one sculpt before these ones, but they weren't like Stormtroopers as we know them. They were Stormtroopers that could take heavy weapons in squads, and they were more like elite. They were more like shock infantry rather than elite infantry, if that makes sense. So these are what I like to consider, even though technically it's not correct. These are what I like to consider the first proper Imperial Guard Stormtroopers, because these were the ones that when Games Workshop released them, they could deep strike. They couldn't take any heavy weaponry whatsoever. So they were much more sort of about dropping in and smashing face. And these are the ones that appeared in the first 3rd edition Imperial Guard Codex, which was when Imperial Guard got properly fleshed out. Before that point, they weren't really fleshed out all that much. In sort of 2nd edition and Rogue Trader, they were more of a sub-faction to the Imperium. But 3rd edition is when Imperial Guard got really expanded, and as a result, these models are from that time. In the squad, what we have is we have 2 riflemen, and these are the guys which have got the gas mask heads on and the hell guns. And then we've got a sergeant who's also got a hotshot lads gun, and he's the one without the gas mask on, with the sort of bionic eye. And then we've got a grenade launcher, which is it's quite interesting, that grenade launcher. It's very unique design. They don't actually. They never reuse that design on another model, so it's kind of interesting. And then we have a plasma gun. Now I was tempted, guys. I was tempted. I did have 2 plasma gun models that I could have painted up, and I did think, well, the most point sufficient thing to do would be to have 2 plasma guns in the squad. But I wanted to have a little bit of variety when painting the models, because they are monopose. You've got to be careful you don't get burned out doing them. And also, I didn't want to be full on sort of whacker with this beginning of this assault squad. The assault corps, I should say. The assault corps in the army really is. It's not the most competitive choice, but I do think it has a real. It adds a little something a little different, and so there's sort of like a fluff element to it, but there's a painting element to it. But also, to be honest, guys, if what my main motivation was is I was concerned, because I've got so much to get through. I was concerned if I paint all my best special weapons up first, all my plasmas and all my melters, then I won't bother. Really, I know what I'm like. I won't bother painting up the flamers and the grenade launchers. The less optimum choices. So I thought, what I'll do is, for every proper good competitive special weapon that I paint, like a plasma gun or a melter gun, for scions, for every one of those good ones, I'll paint up a slightly less good one, and then it's almost like if I paint like a grenade launcher or a flamer, if there's a treat, I'll add a plasma gun in as well. Or that's one of the reasons. So yeah, one of the things, there are a few issues with these models. I'll be honest. If anyone's thinking of getting them, I'll give you some heads up. They are very limited in. Well, firstly, they are damn expensive. They are damn expensive. It's taken me better part of a year, couple of years, really. I'd say, yeah, better part of 2 years to accumulate bit by bit enough of these guys to put together like almost a full 60-man platoon. And even then, I don't think I'll have the full 60-man platoon. I'll have to sub in some other like stormtrooper models, like Kazakin, for example. Because they're so expensive, and the reason why you go on eBay and you'll find plenty of them to sell, but the problem is people are demanding things like £10 for a single rifleman, plus £2 or £3 postage, which it's quite frankly, that is excessive. So I've been really strict with myself, and I've said I'll pay no more than £5 to £6 per rifleman. No more. I've often got them cheaper than that as well, but I'll pay no more than £5 to £6. Even if I have to wait, I will pay no more than £5 to £6 per rifleman. And I won't pay more than £10 per special weapon. Because otherwise, you will find people that are selling one of these individual plasma gun guys for £22. Single plasma gun guy for £20. Because they're extremely rare. I'm very lucky that I have 3 of them. And I was very lucky. 2 of them were gifted to me by a subscriber. By a supporter very early on in the Mordian Glory days, and I'm eternally grateful to that guy, to that person, absolutely eternally grateful. And then one of the ones I got in a bundle, and I actually ended up only paying about £5-6 for it. So yeah, I have been very strict with myself, but that is something to be aware of if you are thinking of getting yourselves a few of these guys. You will be paying, if you're not careful, you can be paying through the nose. My justification was, if I'm paying about £5 to £6 for each one of these people, I'm actually not paying any more than if I was buying them new from Games Workshop. Because Games Workshop, it's like £22.50 for a box of 5 Scions. So if I'm spending the same amount, then that's fine, and I get some awesome sculpts. So that's one thing to be aware of. They're very expensive. Second thing to be aware of is the limit in the sculpts. There is For the rifleman, it's not too bad. You've got the open face at ease guy. You have open face aiming. You've got gas mask at ease, and you've got gas mask aiming. So that's 4 different rifleman sculpts. That's not too bad at all. For the difficulty gets with the special weapons and the sergeants. So for the special weapons, there is only one grenade launcher pose. There is only one plasma gun pose. There is only one flamer pose. There is only one melter gun pose. And because these are metal models, and because they're extremely rare, I'm hesitant to take a hobby knife or a little Dremel to them, because I don't want to damage them, and I don't want to depreciate them, and also it's metal. It's possible, but it's very difficult to work with. The sergeant models, now there's 2 sergeant models out there. One's got a power sword and a hotshot las pistol, and one has a plasma pistol and a bolter. Now he's actually, an illegal sculpt. He is the best sculpt, the plasma pistol and bolter guy, but you can't take a plasma pistol and a bolter on any model in the Guard Army, which is unfortunate. So you basically give him the plasma pistol. They are ridiculously expensive. They'll go for £20 for one models for either sculpt. To be honest, that again, you have to be very. I've only got 2. I've got one plasma guy and I've got one power sword guy. But I didn't pay £20 for each one of them. I was very, very careful. Again, I stuck to my rule of around £10. But again, it's only like buying a monopose cat. But I don't really use them. So, but the problem is because there's a because the sergeants are very expensive and very limited in the poses, it's actually quite difficult to use these troopers as normal scions, which is why I'm leaning heavily towards taking them as Death Corps of Krieg Grenadiers, because Death Corps of Krieg Grenadier sergeants can take a hotshot las gun. So that's what I will probably be running these guys as, Death Corps of Krieg Grenadiers. So there you go. Last thing to mention about the sculpts before, just to be for you guys to be aware, is they are rough. Okay, these are very. When they were released back in the day, they were considered to be actually quite bad. Like the style is extremely cool. The quality of the sculpt itself is considered to be quite poor. Quite poor. I found that the basic riflemen actually are no issues with the basic rifleman, although there are a few like weird pouches. But that plasma, if you see the plasma gun on the screen now, plasma gun guy, you'll notice he's just got like this. When you're looking at him face on, one of his pouches is just absolutely massive. It's just this massive green block, and you won't be able to see this in the pictures, but on the underneath, around on his trousers, it's meant to be a one-piece boiler suit. It's meant to be a boiler suit which they put armor over the top. It looks like an adult nappy. Underneath, you won't be able to see it on the pictures, but it looks like an adult nappy. It's obviously just a bit that wasn't sculpted properly. It's just a blob. It's literally just a blob. And the torso, the legs and the torso don't quite, like, he's got really long. The plasma guns are probably the worst sculpts, to be honest, because the body is like a square. The legs are really long, so it's like its legs are totally too long in comparison to his body. Grenade launcher guy is similar. You might be able to see that, but under where the body armor of the grenade launcher guy goes, it is clearly a model that's been rushed out, and it's clearly something that was molded by hand with green stuff. That's what it reminds you of. You might be able to see it on the upcoming picture after this one. Yeah, you see that under the grenade launcher and under the hand, there's that like green bit. That's just like a strip of body armor, and yeah, it's poor. It is poor. So be aware of that. I love these models because I've always wanted them, and I love painting them simply because of the nostalgia factor. But if you're getting these models and you think they're going to be easy to paint and they're going to be a good quality sculpt, they're not. They're not, but they are awesome and they are super cool, super cool, and that's where I like them. So in terms of painting these, so that's just a heads up on these guys. They do, they are an older sculpt. They do come with the disadvantages, but they are by and away extremely cool, and I think extremely Guard. Now, some things to mention on the painting front. So with these guys, again, because the sculpts aren't quite as finely detailed, so what I found is I had to be really, really careful applying my paint as thinly as possible, because because I found with a couple of the early riflemen that I did, one of the gas mask riflemen, I found that it looked very quickly it began to look like I'd applied the paint too thickly. Well, actually, I was really careful when applying the paint to these models. Like for example, the grenades on the normal rifleman, and this one on the left now, the grenades. That first one looks like it's just like a block of silver. I was so careful trying to not make that happen, but unless I wanted to strip them all down and repaint it, it was difficult, to say the least. But going on with the paint scheme, I painted the in order of paint. What I did is I base coated them black, and then painted the body armor bale tan green to match what I use on my regular, not bale tan green, Caliban green. That was highlighted with Warpstone Glow dry brush with Niblet green. The blue is base coated with Macragge blue, edge highlighted and dry brushed. Then I wash it with Drakenhof Nightshade, and then I edge highlight and dry brush with Calidor Sky. The rest of the model I used on the tips of the guns and on the magazines on the hot shots, because I was like, these are high powered, high shot weapons. I used brass scorpion, and when I washed it in Norn oil, it gave off quite a coppery effect. And I thought that was quite cool, because copper's like high conductivity. These are energy weapons. These are hot shot lasguns, so they need that extra conductivity in order to handle the higher load from the lasgun, from the hot shot lasgun. And the power packs I did in the same thing to represent these. You know, these are hot shot lasguns. So I thought that worked quite well. The grenades on the back. So in terms of sort of what I've done, so that sort of explains why the tips of the guns are a different colour. On the back of the models, you'll notice that they've got 3 grenades that hang off the backpack. Every model has this, and each I agonised over what to do with these ones, and I decided I'd go something kind of cool. So what I did was, you notice that every Scion's got frag grenades festooned all over the place. But on the back, I thought, well, Scions are armed with frag and crack grenades. So what I did is I used the 2 yellow grenades. I've done this on my Steel Legion grenade launchers. The 2 yellow grenades I used as crack grenades. That's where they keep the crack grenades. So if someone needs to grab a crack grenade off them, they can just grab it off a backpack. And then the red one, I know there's no rules for this in 40k, but the red grenade I have is like an incendiary grenade. And the reason I have that is fluff. In the fluff for these guys, their job is to sort of storm positions, pacify it, and then cleanse them and hold them. So they've got all these incendiary grenades on them in case they come across some proper heretical shit, and they just need to burn it. They just need to absolutely just scorch the earth. So I thought each guy keeps his frag and crack grenades on him, but each guy also keeps an incendiary charge on him, just in case he needs to properly, purge some heresy. You've got to understand that these guys are Scions, they are Grenadiers, they are the elite. They will be sent into more hazardous missions, so they're going to potentially come into contact with some darker things that regular guardsmen aren't really expected to handle, and so that's why they've got those incendiary grenades. Got to make sure that they can cleanse any heresy that they come across. Now, so yeah, painting these guys was absolutely fantastic, and I really, really enjoyed it. I can't wait to paint more. I've got a second squad already lined up to paint. Another 5-man squad. They're going to be armed with another plasma gun, the competitive special weapon, and a flamer, the fun special weapon, and then 2 more riflemen and a sergeant with a hotshot lasgun. Now, I've been thinking about to sort of fluff justifications for this in the army, because like I said, I am planning on using this as a Death Corps of Krieg, and I have mentioned this before, but I'll go over it again. I mentioned it in the previous video, but I'll go over it again. What these are, in the Mordian 50th Rifles, obviously it's a Mordian Iron Guard regiment, loads and loads of infantry, but with the new sort of takeover of them, or the oversight with the regiment having many commissars and priests attached to it, what they have done is they want to have an elite corps of the regiment, one that they can send in to purge the heresies, one that they and from the ecclesiastical standpoint, from the commissar standpoint, an absolute diehard loyal corps to the regiment, which is seen as prestige within the regiment, that they can use to really assault and attack and break through enemy lines, because it can be quite difficult. Even if you do have almost unlimited manpower at your disposal, sometimes you do just need to make that breakthrough happen, and that's where the assault corps comes from. And it's been based because of in my Mordian 50 Rifles, the fluff, a bit of fluff behind them is that the reason why there's Cadians in there and other guard regiments in them, the reason why they're not all the pale, ghostly Mordians, the reason why I have the different skin tones in the regiment is to represent that the Mordian 50 Rifles goes, it's been merged with many other regiments. The corps is always Mordian, and they get regular reinforcements from Mordian, but they also, because they're an infantry regiment, they have extremely high turnover. They're constantly getting other scratch regiments, leftovers, a company left over from a Cadian regiment or from another regiment. They're always getting, sort of merged into the Mordians to keep them at full strength. And so, obviously, with Cadia falling and a lot of Cadian regiments getting, finding themselves almost orphaned, and there being a lot of scraps of sort of Cadian regiments dotted all over the galaxy, what's happened is it's not exclusively Cadians, but a lot of Cadians have found their way into the Mordian 50th Rifles. A squad here, a platoon there, an isolated unit just gets folded in. And the Mordians are more than happy to have them. Always need more meat for the grinder. The only thing is you've got to make sure you've got to have the proper uniform. As long as you have the proper uniform, we'll all get on fine. But obviously, what the Cadians bring with them is the Kazakin. Even if it's just half a squad here, or a couple of guys here or there, or maybe even if they're lucky, a full squad of Kazakin. Now these wouldn't normally fit in with the Mordian doctrine, but Mordians they appreciate steely-eyed killers when they see them. They appreciate them. So what the commissars have done, the commissars are always grateful to have some hardcore assault troops in a regiment. So what the commissars have done is they've worked with, because obviously commissars come from the Scholar Progenium, where scions, Tempesta scions are developed. And what the commissars have done is they've gone, right, we'll take the Kazakin, and what we'll do is we've got our Scholar Progenium insights. So what we'll do is we'll make our own Mordian Kazakin, and we'll call it and it'll be called the Assault Corps. And so what's going to happen in each squad is I'm going to have so each squad of assault troopers, which are going to be Death Corps, Krieg, Grenadiers, rules. But each squad of assault troopers is going to be led by a Kazakin. Because the problem I've got, and there's a number of reasons for that, but model-wise, fluff-wise, it's cool. It represents that the Kazakin are passing down, because that's how the Kazakin were formed with Cadians. You took the best Cadians and you drafted them into the Kazakin, essentially, and then they got better guns and equipment. You took your most aggressive people and you put them into the Kazakin. Same thing with the Assault Corps. You take your best, hardest, most veteran guardsmen that have survived, no matter what regiment they were originally from, but when they're in the Mordian 50th, you take the best, most aggressive guardsmen and you form them into these elite stormtrooper units, and they are overseen by a Kazakin who can pass down some tactics and some information. It's almost like a combination of World War One German stormtroopers, and also World War II German Volksgrenadiers. Because German stormtroopers were the best, the most aggressive, the most experienced, the ones they could use to break through the lines. And Volksgrenadiers were when you would take one veteran NCO and put them in charge of a squad of basically newer people who didn't really understand military tactics, and they actually turned out to be really, really effective. So it's kind of a combination of that. You've got the hardest people, but they're Mordians who are used to marching and fighting in a particular way, and you take them and you put them under the tutelage of a Kazakin who's used to fighting in a completely different way, and so that the two ideas sort of merge together. And I think it works really, fluff-wise, it works really, really cool. Model-wise, the reason I'm doing it is because I've got a lot of Kazakin that I want to use, but also it would be very difficult to differentiate the sergeant. If I use a full 10-man squad of these guys, how do I know who the sergeant is? Because in this 5-man squad that I've done here, I've got a guy without a gas mask on, and that's okay to use then. But in a full 10-man squad, there's going to be multiple people without gas masks on, bionic eye guys, and it's how does my opponent know which is the sergeant? It's not clear. I could do a different marking on him, but then what if I want to like give him a white hat or something? But then what if I want to use him as not a sergeant in another squad, another battle? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a Kazakin leading each squad, and then the sergeant is the Kazakin. I'm going to do that when I have 10-man squads. Essentially, these little 5-man squads, it's easy enough for me to have the guy without the gas mask on as a sergeant. But when I flesh them out to 10-man squads, it'll be a Kazakin leading the squad. I think that'll look much better. It's a little jarring in a 10-man squad having a Kazakin because they do look quite different. It is a little jarring, but it doesn't look anywhere near as bad in a 10-man squad. And I've actually done that. Lined the models up. It doesn't look anywhere near as bad. So there you go, guys. Lots of cool, lots of fluff, lots of references to the real world, lots of sort of modelling, painting opportunities. I have to say, I have matched these guys next to a regular Mordian rifleman, and they fit in perfectly together. I was a little hesitant of having the arms on the models as blue, because in the rest of the army you'll notice that it's. Yeah, especially with the Acadians, it's all green and it's just the trousers that are blue. But with these models, it is a boiler suit. It is a one-piece boiler suit that then you put armor on over the top, because it's meant to be like these guys can operate in not zero G, in space, in the vacuum of space. So it is a one-piece boiler suit with armor over the top. Well, not boiler suit, but sort of, what I mean, one-piece suit. So that's why I did it. It'll be with the Kazakin. I'll go back to the normal way of doing it. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Lots to talk about. Lots of interesting fluff stuff and hobbying stuff and tactics with these guys. The plan will be to build up as quickly as possible over the Christmas period. To be honest, try and build up 30 of them. Try and get 30 of these stormtroopers done. 3 10-man squads. Get a sort of plasma and in each squad, and a grenade launcher in each squad, or something like that. And then have 2 officers able to lead them. And then I'll have the beginnings. I'll have my 3rd detachment for my Mordian 50th rifles, and it will be the beginnings of the assault corps. There'll be 3 squads of Death Corps Grenadiers with 3 squads of Death Corps Grenadiers with 2 officers. The reason why I'm leaning towards Death Corps is 2 reasons. There's so much I haven't talked about yet, but I'll save it for another video. There's I've got loads of fluff justifications for why these guys have older patterns of equipment, and there's loads of cool little bits that I want to talk about, and tactics and stuff. But I'm gonna leave it here because it's already coming on to 30 minutes, this video. So you guys, this is the introduction. This is the first video of the Assault Corps. There's going to be many more. I think the next 3 odd weeks are going to be dedicated to them, at least, if not more, going into the future. Then we'll also need to finish off 2nd Battalion. 2nd Battalion just has 1 infantry squad and 1 veteran squad that needs doing, and the auxiliary for it. But apart from that, they're very close to one 25 guys, because I'm going to do a veteran squad, I'm going to do a infantry squad, and I'm probably going to do 5 ratlings as the auxiliary for that battalion. So there you go, guys. 25 guys to finish second platoon. We've made a start on the assault corps already to mix things up. Very exciting times for Mordian 50 rifles. Please let me know what you guys have been working on. I love reading all your hobby progress down below, and we can motivate each other and keep each other enthusiastic about our hobby. So please post down below what you guys have been working on. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Let me know what you think of these old classic models. Let me know what you think of the paint scheme and the initial fluff behind them. I'm going to flesh it out in future videos as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.